Hey there everyone, my name is Jakejames Lugo, and welcome to the channel, where you'll find some of the most fair and honest game reviews out here. So we finally come to the end of the Legacy of Goku series, with Dragon Ball Z Buu's Fury for the Game Boy Advance, a game that not a lot of people have really heard about. Even some of the most die-hard DBZ fans, they probably have only been playing or really heard about some of these other DBZ games like Budokai, or even the Legacy of Goku 2. But with that being said, let's just dive into it. Is this game good, or is it terrible? Did things end off on a good note? Any conversation about Dragon Ball Z video games has to include the Legacy of Goku. The second game of the series was a certified hit, while its predecessor was a dud. But does that mean the third time is a charm for our favorite Z fighters? Dragon Ball Z Buu's Fury is the third and final entry of the Legacy of Goku series for the Game Boy Advance. It's weird because I don't get why they wouldn't just call this the Legacy of Goku 3, rather than changing to a long name like this. It's stupid, but that's neither here nor there. Buu's Fury takes place after the previous game, following all of the events of the Majin Buu Saga from the anime. That means everything from the fallout of the Cell games, to the fusion stuff, and everything leading up to Kid Buu. Basically the final season of the Dragon Ball Z anime. This also means you get more of that Bruce Falconeer soundtrack from the anime remixed on the GBA, which still sounds pretty darn good. I still feel like this is the definitive sound of Dragon Ball Z. But there's other story stuff in here too to tackle. A few random spots include plot from the last few DBZ movies, specifically Broly the Second Coming and Fusion Reborn movies. But does that mean Buu's Fury is a great follow-up to what many consider to be one of the better DBZ games of the era? Time to take this to the next level and find out. So right off the bat, some of the big plot points from the Buu Saga are in Buu's Fury. All the big stuff you would expect to be in here is accounted for. There are a couple things here and there that are probably glanced over a little bit faster than you would expect, or a couple things as far as filler that aren't really touched on too much. But again, for the most part, as far as the Buu Saga story is concerned, everything that you could want in here is in here. From the Super Saiyan 3 transformation to all the fusion transformations, the big battles, all that stuff is in this game. But for me personally, the big highlight here is that Bruce Falconeer soundtrack that's rendered on the GBA. I feel like all the tracks from that saga, even though, again, maybe not as good as the previous sagas, still sounds freaking fantastic. There are a couple tracks that are remixed that still don't sound as good as some of the previous tracks from the Legacy of Goku 2, but again, that's really nitpicky. Overall, the music in here matches up right to the North American release of the anime, and if you're a big fan of that, you're gonna love all the music that's in here. One other thing I do want to harp on just a little bit is that we don't get a lot of side content or side quests that take a big center stage. Kind of like what we got with the Legacy of Goku 2 with Cooler's Revenge and all that other Cooler stuff. We don't get a lot of that in here. We do get some of the Broly Second Coming stuff and a little bit of the Fusion Reborn movie, but again, it's really glanced over. It's kind of shoehorned into like a little section in between what's going on with the Buu Saga, rather than handled like a special thing that you got when you completed the main quest. At least in the Legacy of Goku 2, you got all that other stuff once you finished the Cell Saga games. And to me, I wish that it was handled more like that, or at least if we got other things that happened towards the end, because it would have made it feel more special. It would have been actually really cool, and probably we could have dived a little bit more into some of that stuff rather than just quickly just shooing it aside and kind of getting it over with to get back to this other stuff. I felt like it could have been handled just a little bit better. That being said, let's get into gameplay, because that's what I'm pretty sure many of you out there want to hear about, especially if you never knew about this game. Was the gameplay of Buu's Fury any good? For better or worse, there's minor differences in the gameplay of Buu's Fury from the Legacy of Goku 2. The combat is identical, but how your characters level up is entirely new. You gain EXP from fighting enemies, but you also gain stat boosts by equipping items that you find. It's like the developers decided to ramp up the RPG elements within this game, since you really didn't have a lot of that within the Legacy of Goku 2. There's also more characters to control in Buu's Fury, despite everyone still playing the same. Everyone who battles in the Buu Saga is playable, with a few exceptions here and there. There's also new abilities to use with each character, but you'll be mostly punching and kicking everything instead of using energy attacks. But don't expect any of this to be more challenging than it was before. A lot of the difficulty in some sections feels like it's missing entirely. You can often lock an enemy in place by continuously attacking it and never letting up, making big fights seem a lot more trivial. But what about exploring the world in Buu's Fury? Anything noteworthy in here? Actually, yeah. Big problems really start to show themselves when you explore the world map and survey the areas that you visit. The world map has no icons labeled on it, so trying to find a specific spot can be difficult when you're completing objectives. The other problem is when you're blocked off by level gates and need to grind for EXP to level up. This really halts the momentum of the gameplay when you're trying to do the main quest, with certain spots requiring you to go far off the path in order to farm off EXP in order to continue onward. Don't get me wrong, it can be very easy to grow levels when you find the right spot, but it's annoying when you're forced to stop your story progression and go grind for levels, and in some cases items, in order to move forward. I feel like this could have been adjusted to flow better and not be such an inconvenience. So I feel like from the very get-go, your characters are already tanks that could run through anything that's thrown at them. At the very start of the game, you start off as level 50 as opposed to level 1 like if you were first playing an RPG. And it's really weird for me anyway because there's no connectivity between the Legacy of Goku 2 or Buu's Fury. You start off already as like a powerhouse, and all that beginning section, those enemies, you're running right through them. And it feels like it's like that throughout most of the game because as you start to level up and gain more experience, your stats go ridiculously high and you could just blow through all these different enemies. Even in some of the tougher sections, I would argue you just pretty much wash them out for free. The other thing too is that all the equipment that you find, whether it's from dropping from enemies or finding them in treasure chests you could open up, or even just see them like lingering around the world and you could pick them up, all that equipment completely useless. There is no reason even to equip most of these items because all your stats are already ridiculous as is. Every time you level up, you get a bunch of skill points that you could put in a bunch of different stats and you can make yourself into a powerhouse. The only equipment I really used in my experience were the ones that boosted up the EXP that I got, which was pretty funny. So overall, from start to finish, you feel like you're an overall tank. And it's just weird because in Legacy of Goku 2, it was not like that. You really had to work in certain sections in order to get to the next area. Speaking of which, there is maybe one section I could think of where the momentum like hit a screeching halt. And it's during these times where, during the main quest, you either have these doors that you need to reach a certain level in order to pass them, which isn't a big deal. But the one instance that I felt like it really killed the momentum for me was when I had to go through this section of the Thieves' Den, where in order to get past a certain checkpoint, you have to get a certain item, which is a bandana, to equip to your character that is only dropped by certain enemies. And it took me a while to find this damn thing, because either all the enemies within the area weren't dropping them, I was going back to the world map to go to the airships or the submarines you could enter to fight some of those enemies, and nobody was dropping this thing until finally, after like an hour or so of playing this damn section, I finally dropped the damn item that I needed in order to go to the next area. Stuff like that kills the momentum for me. I wish it wasn't like that at all because it just felt like I was going through the story, through the main quest without a problem, and there's this one section where it's like it put me on this hour like detour from what I wanted to actually play. I wish that it wasn't in there, but it is what it is. So does the final entry to the Legacy of Goku series end things off on a good note? Can I recommend that you play Dragon Ball Z Buu's Fury on the Game Boy Advance? Honestly, while I think there are some good aspects in here, I don't think this was a win for the series. I find this to be a step down from the experience that we got within the Legacy of Goku 2, with a lot of changes being done that we really didn't need. I get the heavier emphasis on RPG stuff, that does make sense, but the way that you end up playing in here makes a lot of that insignificant to the greater experience. And I honestly wish that we ended up getting more side quest stuff that was a nod to the other DBZ movies. The way that it was handled in here was not as good as it was in the previous game. If you're a big Dragon Ball Z fan, then you'll want to see this through to the end and you'll probably enjoy it regardless. But if you're looking for the best of the best within the DBZ games, then this one doesn't really make the cut in my opinion. And there you have it, everyone. Those are my thoughts about Dragon Ball Z Buu's Fury, or technically for me anyway, the Legacy of Goku 3. I really wish that they kept that title. It just made no sense for them to change it. But overall, this game isn't bad. It's not a garbage game, but it's just not as good as the previous one. And it's weird because I would love to see these games get a remaster, or maybe a reimagining or a remake in some fashion, or maybe have this style of gameplay for some of the other DBZ or even Dragon Ball Super scenarios. I think that would actually be pretty cool because this approach to Dragon Ball Z, I still think works out very well. Maybe remake the first Legacy of Goku game because that game was absolutely terrible compared to its sequel, but I digress. I feel like if you're into DBZ, you could get something out of this game. If you're not and you want the best of the series, you could skip over this one. Go play the Legacy of Goku 2 instead. Regardless though, that's just my opinion about Dragon Ball Z Buu's Fury. Let me know some of your thoughts about this game in the comments section down below. Tell me, are you a big Dragon Ball Z fan? Do you like playing a lot of the DBZ games? What are some other anime games that you would love to see get this type of treatment for a video game? I mean, I would love to see Yu Hakusho, maybe Bleach, maybe Naruto in some fashion. I know Naruto already has like a bunch of games and stuff, but other animes that are like super popular, I think this type of style of RPG or action RPG would be really cool to see. Tell me about that stuff down below in the comment section. This channel is sponsored by Flynn's Arcade & More, located in Margate, Florida. Flynn's is one of the premier spots for gaming fans in South Florida. They have a variety of arcade games on cabinet for you to play throughout the week, including all of your beloved classics. You could also play a ton of new and current console games too, on PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo consoles. Grab a snack or drink and enjoy the best gaming experience you'll find. Visit during one of their many big events to connect with the gaming community in South Florida. Want to test your skills in competitive fighting games? Join any of the weekly tournaments that happen at Flynn's for a chance for some cool prizes. And if you're into tabletop gaming or model kit building, there's a bunch of events there for you too. Swing by Flynn's Arcade & More, located in Margate Boulevard in Margate, Florida. You won't find a better spot than Flynn's. Thanks a ton for watching this video, everyone. I really appreciate your support. Make sure you leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to leave a like on the video too, and subscribe to the channel when you can. It really helps out a ton. You could also check out my Discord server via the link down below. There's a lot of great people within the community you could connect with to talk about games and many other things. Check it out when you can. I will talk to all of you again very soon. Peace out, and stay epic, everybody.